This is the Certifiable Environmental Professional Podcast, and I'm your host, Sam Hopstone. This is my journey to uncover the untold tales from the resumes of fascinating professionals shaping our planet's future.
Certifiable environmental professional.
And you're listening to Certifiable Environmental Professional Podcast.
I want to dive into the meat and potatoes. So, you have a bachelor's in pharmacy?
In biology.
In biology. Okay.
Yeah, bachelor's of science in biology.
Biology, period.
Yes, period. Very general.
So, I feel like in wildlife biology, this is very relevant. Professional certifications, there's a whole slew of professional societies. So I just want to ask your experience. Do you have any current certifications or like any society things that you utilize?
So because I'm stationed in California, what I've learned is that it is best to sign up for every single wildlife chapter in California or wherever you're based out of.
It's regional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's nice. So I signed up for the Western Societies and then
Wildlife Society,
the Wildlife Society, TWS. Sorry. The Wildlife Society, and then I did, San Joaquin,
San Joaquin chapter.
Yes,
I'm
San
still
Joaquin.
learning all the
So the San Joaquin Valley chapter. There's also like there's like 3 northern chapters. Signed up for all of those. There's actually a Central California Coast chapter as well.
Like Channel. Channel
and then so I did the entire California side. So maybe like 8 or 9, but they're only like $5 each.
Perfect.
It's a good deal because they tell you when all of the workshops are.
Nice.
And then they'll give you that warning like a couple weeks ahead of time.
The email ping.
Exactly. And then every time they send you one, like you have to check. You have to go through it. Is there going to be any other events or workshops? And then you can sign up for them because then you have to be really good about it, right? Like signing up for any type of workshop, you got to like type it in really fast.
Oh, they cannot close out. They fill up
so fast. Some of them are only like 20 or 30 maximum.
Oh yeah, in-person workshops. Yeah, okay.
And it's crazy because it's like, wow, so many people are trying to get
10,000 bios trying to get that rattler handling class.
To the fastest typer it is, right?
Oh, beautiful.
And the copy paste is your best friend during these signups.
Nice.
But that's what I always recommend that. And any kids who are like in high school, like getting their associates, like if they're even interested in it, to look in it is to go to the Wildlife Society's main website, and they have a bunch of different things there for people.
Cool. They show the different chapters and activities.
They show the different chapters. They show all the workshops. They even have early career professionals stuff.
Cool.
So, and a lot of that is actually free.
Nice.
And they even give you all of the colleges that you can get different types of wildlife degrees in, and for a discount.
Cool.
And whether it's online or in person in different states, and I recommend that to everyone all the time if they're interested.
Did they point anything to, just out of curiosity, coming back as a college graduate, did they point anything at Fresno State? Did you do any reunion or not? Just workshops?
No, when I was at Fresno State, I didn't know about any of it, so it was more.
You were kind of in like a different.
I was.
I don't know what you call that, division, or what do they call the different colleges?
Yeah, it was more of this like.
You were in the med zone.
Yeah, all the med kids were together, and the meds and pharmacy kids were together, and like the nursing students, but then. If you're going to get a bachelor's, right? And so from there, like they split you when you get to like higher division stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wish someone at one class out of all the classes that I've taken would just tell me that there was a wildlife, they don't have a wildlife degree in Fresno State.
Oh, interesting.
They should.
Yeah, I feel like I've worked with all Fresno.
Exactly.
Fresno grads.
And you would think that they would have a wildlife degree, and they don't have that at all. And I wish that they did, or if they would at least have one
goal
class
for 21st century.
Right? 10 out of 10 recommend. Please, Fresno State, give us a wildlife class, or at least send wildlife professionals over there. It could be a 1 credit thing, right?
Yeah.
one credit class of wildlife professionals coming in, doing the talks, doing summaries and stuff that you can learn, like real life things.
Yeah.
And in that one credit class, you can even sign up for workshops,
I'm,
like make a curriculum.
I'm imagining like do a field trip to the zoo. Like check out our salamander fridge. You know?
Oh, let's not. Have you seen? It's a little sad.
No.
Oh.
But, into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a little sad one. I mean, after you learn all these things about CTS and you know how to apply it and seeing it in real life in front of you, it's so different than than going to the zoo
classroom. Yeah,
and it's crazy because you know I did all the wildlife things first. I didn't even think about the CTS being at the zoo,
right?
And then I go to the zoo and I'm like,
oh. Yeah.
And then you know I tried talking to like my bosses and whatnot. I'm like, maybe we can do something to help. And we can bring CTS here because this is like hotspot CTS, right? Madeira is like hotspot for it.
There are nice places.
So, I mean,
it's interesting.
At least having one where they can like burrow into the ground.
Yeah.
You can see them.
Have like a retirement community.
Yeah. Makes me a little sad, but I mean, I'm sure it's a CTS that was saved.
Yeah.
So better than it not being saved.
Right. Okay, so yeah, you were in Club Med, you finished college, you engaged with the Wildlife Society. Do they have any, like, is there a crowd in Fresno that meets in person, or is it like, are you just engaging through workshops?
I'm engaging through workshops and through people.
Okay.
Definitely networking.
Like private networking.
Exactly, but it's more like after you go to your first workshop, you realize that a lot of your networking comes just from talking to people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, networking,
talking to human beings.
But you get to know like their projects, right? Yeah. And they
chit-chat.
Exactly chit chat. And you're just like, so a lot of people they don't see CTS like we do.
Right.
So a lot of times they're just kind of like, I heard that you guys have adult CTS on this project, and I'm like, oh yeah,
you can look it up. It's all on the CNDDB. Like it's all out there. Yeah,
it's all there, and it's
wild.
It's wild. It's crazy to think about.
Wildlife Society, do they have like conferences? Or
they do. They have their annual
like, chapter ones, or is it everybody in California goes to San Diego every year? Like, how does that go down?
I think there's two different ones. Okay. I think there's the Wildlife Society as a whole, and then there's the Western
like
section. Yeah, they're like this year they're going to be going to Canada. And I am 10 out of 10 going to that. Like you're giving me a reason to go to Canada.
Right.
And I get to go to all these workshops that they have there, you know, like you're telling me to go to Canada and learn about endangered species there and get to network with people who don't do the same type of things that I do with the same type of animals that I do.
Different, like altitude and topography too.
It's crazy. They have everything. And so there's that one, and then they have the Western section one where they had in Visalia this year. Yes, yeah. I kind of wish I was able to join the small mammals one, but they have the wildcats one, which is like for beginning bios doing field work.
Got it.
And I was like, you know, I should probably take this.
Let's go.
Has nothing to do with wildcats. No wildcats.
Just a bunch of wild kids.
Yes.
I can imagine the after party.
That's good. And so it was a good workshop for anyone who has never done field work before.
Yeah, this year they had like a whole resume thing too. They're like, we'll teach you how to put it together. Yes. Like they're starting to connect the dots. Like they should help people get jobs.
You know, resumes. It's every time
it's a full-time job.
People, it is, and people still ask me about resumes. I worked heavily with resumes, right?
Yeah, you learned
for like 8-9 months and
technical lingo.
Exactly, and now it's nice to be able to share that with other people.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
And when they need help, like I try to help them as much as I can. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
A lot of people don't realize the type of experiences they have and what they can use it for, especially on the resume. And so,
they learn that
exactly
at resume time. Yeah. But I mean, now you have to learn this.
But it's like sometimes in those questions, I'm like, "Well, have you done this before?" And they're just like,
"Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I have."
For the past 15 years of my life.
I'm like, then that counts as you know this, and this, and then they're like, "Oh, cool.
So we're done here."
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, it's a tough world when it comes to biologists and resumes because it's how you get your jobs, right?
Yeah, it's a pinch point for like it's a bottleneck, and then you just get through it.
Yep.
Okay, so society, conferences, and then I wanted to move on to certifications. I am mostly just engaging like in the California Department of Fish and Wildlife's incidental take permit. So they have like permit specific approvals.
Yes.
So it's like this little bubble. But I love to hear about Section 10A1A permits and all the other wide world of handling outside of my little bubble that I work in.
All right.
Have you gotten to experience any? Well, yeah, I'd just like to inquire like specific certifications, or like if you finish a workshop, do you have like some approval, or is there some document that comes out of that? Like, what does that look like?
It depends on what workshop you do and what they're offering you.
Sure.
Like if you do a San Joaquin Kit Fox workshop over at Carrizo, they give you a San Joaquin Kit Fox certificate that says that you completed it, right?
Cool.
And with CTS, they don't really do that.
It's just hours.
It's just hours,
like,
yeah.
You get your hours on paper and
exactly. But then you have to use them as references. So it's really important that anytime you go to a workshop, you have to write down the hours. You have to write down exactly what you did, and then you have to actually get that approved through. Yeah, their phone number, exactly, their phone number or their email, and you have to approve through them. But like, I always tell newcomers, please go talk to the instructor after the workshop is completed, and then confirm with them the numbers and what you guys did. So when you put it on your resume, they won't say that I don't remember that person doing it, or we don't do that in our workshop.
Right. It's kind of a funny concept. It's like, yeah, get the email ready and send it before you even go to the class.
Exactly.
So that they, so that you guys are.
I make people write down exactly what to ask.
Nice.
And then so that when they
questionnaire.
Exactly. And so when in the end you're filling it out and then you're confirming it.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is confirm it, and they love that. Right. And you're just not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for everyone there.
Right.
And then the only one that I've ever had to take a test in was the fairy shrimp, going back to that portion.
Tell me about it. So like you take the class and then you get to the class and they're like, all right, there's going to be an exam. And they put the little clock up on the wall.
So for 2 days you stare into a microscope and it smells like ethanol.
Yeah. Okay.
It smells so bad. I had a headache after the second day. I definitely threw up during the exam. The third day, so you have 2 days of like 8 to 10 hours of staring into a microscope. And you learn about all the different types of species of fairy shrimp. And then you learn about all the endangered ones. So that's 2 days worth. And then the third day, you take the exam. So you are looking through a microscope, your same microscope. And then they have little bottles with fairy shrimp in them, different types.
Yeah, like confirmed species.
Yes, okay. And it's species that would be in the same puddle and or vernal pool. So that, made it realistic.
And it's just, they're mixing multiple species into one batch, or they're like giving you an unlabeled bunch too.
It can be from 1 to like 5 species or something, 1 to 3 species, and there can be a bunch of them. Like there was a bottle one time that was like just the same species. Yeah, and there was this one bottle where it was 3 different species, and it could be anything. And they pre-do that every single different time so that you can't cheat.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same vial every time.
Keeps things lively.
Exactly. And that was a hard test. I'll tell you, it's a hard test.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
And you have to get 100%. Yeah. But once you get that test done, and then you do 20 hours of aquatic surveys and sampling for like fairy shrimp, then you can apply for like 10A1As. And I made the mistake of waiting past a year. You have to do it within a year
of the class.
Of the class and exam. You have to pass the exam. So I have all my hours.
If you don't line that up right too, you might miss the season.
Exactly. And I definitely missed the season, and I got burned.
You took like a July class. I'm like, sorry, bro.
And I definitely, like on my list of things I need to do is reaching out to Mary Bell and like saying, I did exactly what you told us not to do. Please let me take the class again.
Yeah.
And I will do it right this time. But not a hard. It's a very hard test, and not a hard thing to just put in your permit for it. Doesn't cost much money. I think it's like $50 or something.
You mean to apply for the 10A1A?
To apply for the 10A1A. Okay. And then they approve you, like CDFW and USFWS have to approve you.
Right.
And then once you have that, you can start like actually doing
Get out there and Dipnet.
Yes.
Cool.
And there are some other ways that you can get it without having to apply for 10A1A, but it's more of like approval sharing projects.
Yeah,
Was that
project
resume?
permit specific.
Exactly.
Got it. Have you ever gotten a dipnet anything outside the classroom setting anywhere in California?
Oh yeah. If you're under other people's 10A1As and they like allow you to and get that approval,
You
like
can work under their direct supervision.
exactly.
Does that require an approval to be like a not approved person working under their supervision, or that's part of their 10A1A?
Part of their 10A1A, and they get to choose whether or not they want to allow you to be under theirs.
Yeah, I mean they're effectively vouching, right? They're like
Exactly. And you don't ever want to put
you might
someone
get dinged for take.
exactly.
I mean they'll get dinged for your take.
But it's still like under you. Yeah, exactly. It kind of sucks. It would suck if if you got dinged for something that someone else did because you weren't hovering over them.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that person that hovers over them, especially when you're teaching them all the basics.
Right.
And if they're not paying attention, it would suck that it would be under yours that it would get dinged.
Gotcha.
So
anyway, so that's how it goes down. Yeah, there's like a direct supervision clause.
Yes, and that's where networking comes in, right?
Yeah. You just meet people and spend the time with them that they're comfortable in a professional setting,
yes.
To supervise.
Yeah,
effectively working for these guys. I mean, it's
exactly.
Cool.
I mean, you're right. It's like more like working.
Let me come volunteering. Let me come work for free.
Exactly, but the volunteering portion is just like you have to really make time and effort into it because it's coming out of your pocket essentially. Yeah. And before, when I was working under the different company, it was a lot harder to do versus like working on your own. You're like, wow, I now have the funds to be able to do all these workshops that I've always wanted to do, and you're responsible for them.
Right, as a freelancer.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can just take 2 weeks off and just go do things for free.
Exactly. It's weird to have all this extra time.
Yeah.
You have to choose your own schedule.
Do you if you want to go to a conference, do you have like a conversation with yourself, or is it like auto approve? I'm going to Canada.
I have to definitely. I try to talk it over with my partner and my mom first.
You run it by the board of supervisors,
yes.
And they're like, Canada, I don't know. Did you were you fully utilized this year?
I need to have someone watch my dog half the time, so I check with whoever can watch my dog first.
Cool.
And he only likes the 3 people. My girlfriend, my mom, and one of my best friends, Jackie. That's it. Just the 3.
Well, you better line up their calendars. Make sure this summer they're.
I did.
They're locked in.
I did already, and that's the reason why he's going to daycare too. So
covered.
Yep. And so I know that I'll be able to find someone. If I can't find someone, then Elaine's it is.
Perfect. You got coverage. I've been meaning to ask you about the bumblebees. Have you ever made it out? I think it was Channel Islands. I remember talking about it. I don't remember if you got to do it, but
I didn't get to do that one.
Did you like connect with the crew that went out there at all? Did you hear any stories?
So I did a lot of field work with Leif Richardson.
Okay.
And he's like one of the leads, right, for California Bumblebee Atlas.
Is he like in SoCal or all over?
All over California.
Cool.
All over. He's not from California, but he's all over California for the California Bumblebee Atlas.
Sweet.
I know, and he's great. He's a really good instructor, and he does this like, just to. It's almost like a volunteer kind of a thing, and he takes time
an
to
expedition.
Yeah.
Come on, volunteers.
I heard
Let's
that they
go.
got to do an excavation last year. For it was the first excavation for Crotch's Bumblebee.
That's what I'm talking about. I remember.
Yeah, I was like,
let's go.
Yeah, but the thing that sucked was that I went to Disney World.
Okay.
The tickets were already bought. The plane tickets were bought.
Locked
like
in.
I spent a few $1,000s. Like I can't just.
We're talking Disney here.
We're talking Disney World here, and you're talking about $2,000. But in the other hand, I had to think about it because it was like I would be part of the first excavation team to excavate a known Crotch's Bumblebee burrow.
Wild.
And I had to choose, and it was such a rough choice. I didn't hear anything yet. I am going to be going to as many Bumblebee Atlas ones here, like for the field events. I've been looking every week.
Yeah, you're like checking the, you have the website refresh every day.
Exactly. I mean, every day.
Visalia, let's go.
I mean, they
Do
usually
ever
have
come
one in
to-
Sequoias.
They come to the valley.
They went to Wolverton one year,
Okay,
which is in the
that's really
Sequoias.
high.
It is. And then, I
Like
mean,
Wolverton near Lodgepole up the
Yep.
hill. There's
there are
and they find them in the
bumblebees.
summertime. That's
Yeah,
wild.
we actually found a nest up there, a bumblebee nest. Hmm. One of the participants, she's participates all the time. She's really good at identifying. She found one of the nests, and I was like, we all just stood there watching the bumblebees come out.
Cool.
Yeah. But definitely one of those things I'm going to ask about, because now that they're going to be like considered endangered, like especially under ITP,
It will become relevant.
It will, yeah, exactly, and you know it kind of
Or
sucks
like
because
pertinent. It will become pertinent.
I look back and I'm just like, was Disney World worth
Oh,
it?
you're gonna think about that the rest of your.
Yeah, I think
Come on,
about
aren't they
it.
gonna go back out there next spring?
I was like, I really,
Can you sponsor it? I'll just pay. Let's go.
you know,
My
for
treat.
reals, and I was going to reach out to him, but I was like, maybe I'm gonna do this in person, and that comes like the whole networking thing, right? I don't want to just ask for it through email.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to volunteer, do as much as I can, so that I can earn my spot
Yeah.
next to him in excavating.
Yeah, you want to come correct.
Exactly, and I mean, one of my old bosses told me this, is that eventually all these people who are like leads in these and have specialties in these different types of wildlife animals, it's just they eventually are going to retire and they need to pass the baton on to someone else.
Yeah.
And why not you? And so I keep that in my head all the time, so I try to learn as much as I can about every single species that I've worked with. And right now it's, CTS, San Joaquin kit fox, California tiger salamanders, CTS, San Joaquin kit fox, Swainson's hawk, fairy shrimps, and California partridge bumblebee.
What about like you do any small mammal?
I haven't
Like
yet.
squirrels,
I mean, I've done
kangaroo rats.
like humans. Like we've done
They're
trappings.
cute. That's cool.
I was really hoping that we get giants, but
Yeah.
like it was a human, and that's fine because
That's something.
that was the first time I've ever held any type of rats, and I was just like, this is crazy. They're so cute
Good
though.
banner pick.
If you're gonna hold any type of rat, why not
The
be
humans are
kangaroo?
cute. Yeah.
Kangaroo rats. They put we've caught so many with just the seeds in their mouth, and you see their big teeth. It's crazy.
Cuties.
Yeah, they're really cute.
I feel like I had a similar, I don't know if reaction is the right word, but like in the water realm, just going to all these trainings and listening to the trainer, I've had that same, nobody told me, but just had that feeling of like, I can do that, trainer. Like I'm gonna, so anyways, yeah, I'm like chasing a bunch of trainer work and hosting workshops and instructions. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you don't have to be, I don't know, in the water realm anyways. Like you don't need 20 years.
You don't.
I'm 10 years out of school and I'm like a subject matter
Mhm.
expert. Like it's pretty, I want to say it's easy, but like
It's
it's
all
very
experience.
manageable. Yeah.
It's a lot of experience and setting things up. Like, do you have all of the
Just getting your boxes checked.
exactly?
You don't get them all checked in 1 year. You get a couple this year and a couple more the next year, and
Mhm.
eventually the whole thing's full and
Exactly.
you're an expert and you're like 10 years in.
Yes. I mean, I
It's
feel
cool.
like it's crazy that this is my third year, right? I'm pretty much
You got a lot
completing
of
my third year.
A lot of boxes checked.
A lot of boxes checked. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
But I'm still, even with the boxes checked as like a general biological monitor, that's everyone's goal is usually to be a designated biologist and these
Yeah.
things, right? To be more specialized. And I'm going more like the general route where I got all my general biological monitor, my GBMs for it. And now I'm chasing them one at a time and trying to get designated biologists. But I want to be confident and have the experience before I get those. Because yes, I can check that box and be like, I can become a DB, but do I trust myself in becoming a DB and being like in charge of that species? Because in the end, that species, they assign you somewhere where they're at. It's in your hands.
Yep.
Something happens, it's on you.
Yeah, you can't, calling in sick is like a whole new level of letting a project down.
Yes.
They really need you, the individual, to make the reload.
And that's the scary part, right? Is becoming a DB. And some people aren't scared. A lot of people aren't scared, but it's because they have a lot of.
They handle 500 salamanders, and
exactly.
You're used to it.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's all that experience. And so in my mind, I'm like, yes, I can check the box, but I have to really like sit with myself and be like, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready to be able to be at that stage and being in charge of people? Because in the end, if there's a take, it's on you.
Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people it takes 1 season, and some it takes 5, and those are both fine. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Okay, so general biological monitor approvals and permit, you're attending workshops, you're connecting with the instructors and the leads, and you have those feelers out to attend opportunities formally or even before they get published, and they put out not advertisements, but before they announce that there's going to be an
Events and
expedition
workshops.
or an excavation. You want to get in contact with these people and be on their, I'm not going to call them a list serve, but on their distro list of who they're thinking about when they start working on initiating
Exactly.
an event.
And I got invited to that, by the way.
It was insane.
That's the reason why I was.
That hurts.
It does. Because how many people would get invited?
Yeah, you got the call.
So I was like, gosh darn.
It's all right. You're getting a lot of other boxes checked.
Exactly.
You're killing it.
It's okay. This year, 2026.
2026 goals.
2026 goals. So this year, this season, I can get all that experience. I can hopefully get into an excavation this year.
Yeah.
And then
there's other stuff to work on this year.
Exactly.
There's other handling to handle.
Yes.
More rattlers.
Yes.
So let's circle back. Okay. Yeah, that's cool if I ask the elevator advice again. So the first one is just anybody in the environmental realm, if you have any advice, lessons learned in K-12 or college, or even, working adults that might be open to pivoting. You and I both know, like I've seen people in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, you can just change gears and go into wildlife biology. You don't start on day one as an expert, but you can enter the field at any age. Any elevator back?
Well, I didn't enter into it until I was like 30. So definitely went around there. If my advice is that if you have any friends or anyone that are came through college professors, to reach out and do outreach on these things, because not a lot of people know about this type of job. Like, if it was me and someone had went up to me at Fresno State while I was getting my bachelor's in biology and said that you can be out in the field saving wildlife, still make a good living, like 100%, I would have pivoted. I would have not went to pharmacy school for an entire year and been miserable. And I would have probably started earlier.
Yeah, I was looking for that table on career day.
I went to career day every year, by the way. Every time they had it at Fresno State, I went, trying to look for something other than pharmacy.
Transportation-oriented environmental consulting.
Right. And so, I mean, that's one of those things where, I have a lot of friends who work in elementary schools, who work in middle schools, who are also professors. And one of those things I always tell them is like, even if you want me to come in there for like 15 minutes and talk to your kids, like I am 100% there, because it's really important for kids to know that they can actually do something, not just kids, but adults too, young adults, people who are thinking about pivoting to something that they would probably enjoy. And it's like at any point you can change gear and do something that you might actually enjoy. And this is one of those things.
Beautiful. Yeah, I feel like we talked about it earlier. You can read you thankfully were able to, act based on Googling and, you conduct research and act on it. But just having a human being, a real person in front of you as an example, even if you don't have a presentation, but just showing up and taking that 10 minutes in the classroom, it can open a door that people didn't know. Just like people don't even know it exists until they can see some tangible example. So really, really powerful stuff.
Exactly. And it's like, as a, LGBTQ, as a woman, as a minority, culturally, like, it's for you to see that, and girls and boys, girls really need to see that you can do something in construction, you can do something in biology. It's not made just for guys, just for boys. Like, you can go out there and dig too. Like growing up, like I said, my family told me that I wasn't allowed to dig in dirt and get dirt. And here I am getting paid to dig in dirt and getting dirty. And I love it. Love every bit of it.
Yeah, when you hit that, once you finish high school, it's just trying to break down that mental barrier of like, it's your world for you. Different people, it might take a year, it might take 10 years. For me, it took a lot longer than a year, but it's just busting down that perception of how you get rid of trying to break that down as quickly as possible. It's like my top priority.
Yes.
Fantastic. So you did the elevator advice for budding environmental scientists. Did you have any specific messages to, women of color, LGBTQ community, any experiences that you can draw from, or any thoughts or ideas? I feel like you nailed it.
I nailed it the first time.
Structure.
Yeah. It's hard to recapture it. But one of those things that I always recommend is like it's hard growing up already as a woman. It's hard growing up as a Filipino American. It's hard growing up as an LGBTQ person. And it's like you are raised to not be allowed to do certain things. And it's like you're not allowed to like a certain person. You're not allowed to show a certain feeling. You're not allowed to go do things that boys do. And one of those things, like you end up being a young adult and an adult, and you're trying to get past that because you look at biology and you're like, I'm not allowed to be a pediatrician or be a biologist. Like that's things for boys and guys, and they're allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to do that. And like I said, it's like the whole reason why I've even went to the company that I did is because I saw my friend, now friend, Danny, she was on their website over there, talking. She was in a helicopter at one point, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I want to be part of this company. They have a woman biologist. Like, this is crazy. Like, I totally want to be part of that company." And because they put her on there, I applied there. And when I brought my cover letter, my resume there at the right time, got a job. And so it's crazy because you actually have to see it yourself.
Yeah, you saw a tangible example and you chased it.
Exactly. And it's crazy because it's like all you have to do is see someone and then go for it because you're like, oh, the girl did it. But now, like as LGBTQ, as a woman,
You are
as an American, I am the example now. I am like the true minority of like doing something and going towards something. And I want to be that for other people, for kids and adults who want to change. And like I said before, like if you ever want to do outreach over Fresno State, totally down. I was just like, hey, you looking for a job in environmental? I definitely would want to be that way because if I saw that table over at Fresno State, I would have 100% pivoted.
It's a workshop class. Okay, so talked about how you knew you wanted to pursue environmental work. I kept pressing you for certifications. I ended up doing environmental work. Yeah, I feel like you covered that.
Mm-hmm.
Your first conversation, yeah, just a real conversation.
Real conversation. Got the job.
And one that I really hope to showcase with this podcast that I just don't hear there's a lot of environmental podcasts and science podcasts and engineering and consulting, but just crazy that you can remember of field work. And if you want a minute to think about it, I can give an example from my own experience.
Okay, go for it.
I did a summer. I booked this gig at UC Merced. They have a partnership with Yosemite National Park. They have a Yosemite, saying Yellowstone. They have a Yosemite leadership program. It's like there's programming during the year, and then you get this internship. Not working. I have worked with a concessionaire and waited tables in the park, working for rangers. It was sick. And I was doing an ecological restoration, which is just pulling weeds in the park. We're mapping illegal campfires in wilderness areas. You got to be 100 feet from the water or whatever it is, 40 miles from the trail. So we have little Trimble, above GPS,
Yeah.
dots and do campfire and do polygons for like clusters of invasive species, yellow star thistle and mullein and stuff like that. And we're like at the top of Chumawana Falls in Bologna. Pouring rains, 40 degrees. Trimble won't start up, and we're like warming the batteries up in our armpit. They started, you know. I was like, this is the dream, boys. Making $15 a day. You know, I haven't had a day that was like more fun in the field than that. That was really, I guess it wasn't wild, but it was just it was a good time. Putting all the money and deliverables aside and just getting out there and like, getting some data, rain or shine.
Yeah. Okay. I don't really want to be morbid. So
I was gonna say also you don't have to share any, you know, we're not doing any names, dates, individual peoples or projects.
yeah.
We don't have to talk about it could be a fun one.
So okay, to be a little bit morbid, but I learned from it, and so I know it will never happen again. So full day excavations, right? It's like
These are my favorites, the less
yes,
lesson
learn from excavations. And was it went to excavations, just a normal day, right? I'm getting more confidence in digging. It wasn't like all the way there yet. Like I definitely still ask for like confirmations from like designated biologists still. I'm like, dude,
like on what?
like on like so like on whether like a burrow is completed, like maybe this burrow done. Are we done? Like is that done? Like am I able to like now fill it right back in so that you know we can say that burrow is completed? Well, I mean, you know, they were teaching me, you know, certain ways to do it, like going around it, making sure. And this is like a time period where like it's the first large rain is going to start, right? And one of the bios, one thing that he told me was, Germaine, be careful in digging today because CTS feel the difference in atmospheric pressure in the ground and they're coming up. And I'm just like, okay, that's good to know.
Today's the day.
Today's the day, right? So I'm digging, and like, okay, like I can't. We use plugs, right, to put it into the burrows to make sure that we're pushing any type of like animal down the burrow to the very end. I was just kind of like, okay, you know, the piece of my plug was like this big in there. It went to the burrow about that big, maybe like 2 inches. And I'm like, okay, it's done, right? So I'm just gonna open it up, stab my pickaxe in there, and then pull it open. And I gotta go for just.
Was it smiling? Was it crying?
That was the first time I've ever killed a live animal before, and I legit had a tear. I was so traumatized, right? That I just killed this gopher, and you know the biologist just came by, and they're like, "Well, it's a gopher, so you know you're safe." And I'm just like, "That's
not right.
I killed a living animal, right?" And so I had to take it, and I literally like got.
Did you take the day?
I know, but I mean, it was towards the end, anyways. But like, I literally got it, and I put it on top of one of the soil piles, and I like buried it because I felt so bad, and I said a little prayer. Yeah, so they're just like, and like the Disney biologists, they saw me, and they're just like, just take a moment, right? And I'm like, okay. And after I did my little prayer, I was like, okay, I'm a little scared to keep going. And I'm like, well, what can I do? People have to ask this to themselves. They have to ask themselves these things. What can I do to not ever do that again? Right.
Yeah.
And you have to ask these questions, not just to yourself, but to people who are leading you. Right. And so I asked them, it's like, well, what can I do? You know, they're like, well, you're doing fine. I'm just like, but what would you have done differently? Like I thought it was the end. You know, there was only 2 inches from the plug. I took out the plug. That was obviously not the right thing to do. And they're like, well, next time, you know, dig to the side of it from there. Don't use your pickaxe. Just use, you know, hand trowel, pull it open, and
you mean like don't
on
the side.
Yes, exactly. And those are things that you don't really think about because you don't have enough experience in different types of soils and different areas with that certain species. And from there, I never obviously made the mistake ever again. And lo and behold, 2 days later, I find a CTS. Yeah, and I got it. It's nice and safe. Did literally the same thing. So you get to the end of it. I have the plug in there. It's about the left there. And then I got the side corner, right? The corner next to it where it ended. And then I then used hand trowel and I kind of like just knocked off the top and it like just broke apart. And there was a little CTS head just there. And I was like, victory. And I'm calling the designated biologist over and was like, I found one. That was the first ever catch in a row with the CTS that I got, right?
Yep.
And never made this again. It's a good thing that I made the mistake a couple days before that, right? And now, lo and behold, it was meant to be that I made that mistake because I knew that I would never do it again.
I feel like that was one of that reminds me of it's like the most challenging days in the first 5 years. The job is like making an error, and then you don't just get an F on a test.
Yeah,
It's like it's like 10 in the morning.
Yep.
And you're gonna spend the rest of your day
fixing
this and getting back to work.
And I thought about that gopher. I still think about that gopher every time I dig. And so, and again, I am so lucky that it was a gopher.
Yeah.
100%. And definitely changed everything with the way that I dig and how I go forward in it. So yeah. So that's my wild story. Buried a gopher, gave it a little memorial.
That was the same day, right? Gopher and CTS.
No, it was like literally 2 days before I found a CTS. But the gopher, that was the craziest day. Thought about that gopher. Went home, thought about it when I went to bed.
Gave me sleep.
Yeah, no. Thought about it. Talked to my girlfriend about it. Like talked to everyone about it. The other bios. I'm like, I'm scared.
Yeah, it's hard. That's wild, but you still
Exactly.
Crazy.
You have to. It's your job.
That's the deal.